Hello, I'm Rahul, and today I'm going to talk about how we respond to our emotions. Most of us find it really difficult to deal with the negative or unpleasant emotions. Whenever we are in the grip of any unpleasant emotion, be it greed, anger, or jealousy, we always come out of them as battered and bruised. Either we hurt ourselves or we hurt others. And this is everyone's story. For some of us, living with these negative emotions has become a part of our life. We have become habituated to them. And the irony is that we don't even try to question that why do we become angry over and over again? Why do we fall into the same pit over and over again? And we appear to be so intelligent on the outside. We talk about great things, religion, politics, art, poetry, but deep down we are unaware of what goes on in our head all the time. And this lack of awareness is the fundamental cause of our emotional problem. So let's try to understand the very nature of emotions and how we respond to these emotions. The first thing to be understood about emotions is that they stem from our unconsciousness, which means that you don't deliberately choose to become angry or jealous. Anger or jealousy happens to you. These emotions come like an uninvited guest and we just entertain them, and there is a reason behind it. First of all, you need to understand that we live in a very complex world, where confrontations, arguments, and all kind of conflicts have become a part of our daily routine because we don't live in isolation. So throughout the day, situations do arise in everyone's life where we become angry, where we become sad, where we become jealous or greedy. So to a certain extent, it's perfectly fine to have these emotions. After all, we are human beings. We are configured to have them, and it's not a problem. The problem only arises when we take these emotions to a very neurotic level. A flower has fragrance as well as thorns, but the problem only arises if the flower ceases to have any fragrance and becomes all thorns. That is the beginning of neurosis. The point that I'm trying to make is that emotions are our unconscious reactions to the challenges that we face in our daily life. And as long as we don't take these emotions to a very abnormal level, neurotic level, it's perfectly fine to have them. The second thing to be understood about emotions is that all the emotions have one thing common about them, and that is overwhelmingness. All the emotions, be it pleasant or unpleasant, give you a sense of being too much. It seems as if you are drugged. When people are possessed by emotions, they cannot act or think clearly. People do things that are beyond any sanity. Anger makes you say all kind of toxic things that you regret later on. In greed, people try to hurt others. In jealousy, people cheat and lie all the time. So under the spell of any emotion, be it pleasant or unpleasant, we behave like an alcoholic who does not know what he is doing or where he is going. So these are the two important qualities of the emotions that need to be understood. Emotions are unconscious and overwhelming. It seems as if they appear out of nowhere and drug us with a very compulsive energy that we cannot withstand. We have to do something about it. And as far as our response to these emotions is concerned, we just know of two alternatives: expression and repression. And in both the cases we suffer. Let's try to understand both. There are people who are expressive. If someone insults them, they cannot sit quietly. They have to give it back right away. These are the people who will get into trouble all the time, and you can find them everywhere, having an argument about anything and everything. Expressive people are really bad at handling their emotions. And there is a general perception about the expressive people which is extremely wrong. The general perception is that expressive people are some sort of heroic people. They are authentic and upfront. However, the truth is that expressive people are helpless people. They are the victim of their own emotions. They cannot refrain from indulging in their emotions. And remember, indulgence always creates habit. If somebody insults you today and you become angry about it, what do you think will happen tomorrow when somebody else will insult you? Again, you will become angry because you're learning the ways of anger. Every day you're becoming efficient in creating more and more episodes of anger. So indulgence is conditioning, conditioning is habit, and habit can never take you out of the unpleasant emotions. Secondly, in expression, everyone is harmed. You throw the poison at the other person. Do you think the other person will sit quietly? No. A mutual game will start, and everyone involved in the game will come out as a damaged person. So nothing beautiful can ever come out of expression. However, expression still is better than repression. Repressive people are the opposite of troublemakers. In order to avoid the trouble, they have learned a mechanism of repressing their emotions. So on the surface, it might seem as if they are really calm and composed, but deep down they are always boiling. Their composure is just a facade to fool the world, but they cannot fool themselves. An expressive person only suffers when he goes through an episode of anger, but repressive people suffer every single moment of their life. Somebody insulted them years back, and they couldn't do anything about it in that moment, and today that insult has taken a form of revenge. And the interesting thing is that a repressive person is never ever going to do anything about this revenge also. This revenge is also important. It will just go on lying dormant in the unconsciousness. Some people say that there are various forms of repressions and some of them are mature and healthy, but I question that. If you are thinking about something that happened years back, it simply means that you are stuck in the past. Your wound has not healed. You have not allowed it to heal. In fact, you go on pricking it every single day. So this somehow means that you have become attached to your wounds. And not only you suffer psychologically, but you also suffer in your physiology, because mind and body are not two separate things. And today there are ample evidence of the psychosomatic diseases. Whatever your mental trauma is, it will reflect in your physiology sooner or later. So in this sense, expression is better than repression. Now these are the only ways that we know of when it comes to responding to the emotions: expression and repression. And in both the cases we suffer. So the question arises, could there be a third way in which we don't suffer at all? And there is. The third way is the way of the observation. In observation, you're just paying attention to the problem, you're paying attention to the emotions without any intent of finding solution. If you can refrain from reacting in the moment when anger, greed or jealousy arises in you, then you will find that something extraordinary will come out of it. When anger grips you, stay with it without any motive, without any intent of getting rid of it. Just pay close attention to it. When you look at a beautiful sky or a beautiful flower, you just look at it. You don't intend to change it. With that quality of awareness, if you can look at your anger, then you will find that anger simply flowers and disappears. It doesn't sustain on its own. It's our reaction of expression and repression that sustains it. When we express the anger, then it simply means that we allow the anger to flower, but we don't allow it to wither away. When we repress anger, then we don't even allow it to flower. So if you can look at your anger like this once, then you will never ever be angry in your life. And lastly, I just want to leave you with a fair bit of warning. You know, there is a very thin line between repression and observation, because on the outside, there is no reaction in both the cases. So a lot of people can actually repress their emotions, and at the same time they can feel that they are observing it. So one simple way to differentiate between these two processes is to evaluate after the episode of unpleasant emotion is over. First thing you have to evaluate is whether you felt an urge to get rid of the emotion. If you felt an urge, then perhaps you have repressed the emotion. If you did not feel any urge when the unpleasant emotion was there, then you were observing it. And later on, this will have its consequences. If you are repressing the emotions, then perhaps you will be feeling some sort of woundedness in you, some sort of bitterness in you. But if you are just observing it, then you won't feel any woundedness. Then there will be freedom. So I hope that you had an insight into the very nature of emotions and how we respond to the emotions. And you will always choose observation over repression and expression. And I wish you all the best for that.